Joins us tonight from Buffalo to talk more about what happened. Assemblyman, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Liz.
So we have some breaking news, as mentioned, and actually you weren't aware of this, so it really is quite breaking that that Senator Volker, this veteran Republican, is in fact deciding not to seek re-election. What's your initial thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, let me just suggest this, that even though I'm a Democrat and Dale Volker is a Republican, in my view, he is a gentleman. And when the Senate was in the majority Republican, he was extremely helpful to every single town, city, village in Erie County, just not where he represented. So I think that says an awful lot about Senator Dale Volker. And also he led, along with Paul Tokaz back then, they were the deans of the Western New York delegation. And so I have very fond memories of Senator Volker and his leadership. And I will say that also I'm relieved, and I'm glad he's not running, because I think he has been a very effective senator over all these years. And I was fearful that somebody like him could actually lose his last race. And his father was a New York State Assemblyman for over 20 years, and his father's last election he lost. And I'm certain that maybe that was in the senator's mind, that because of all the good things he's done for Western New York and New York State, that he wanted to go out a winner. And so I wish him and his family the best of luck.
So actually, the Erie County GOP chairman, Jim Domagalski, has been mentioned as a potential primary opponent to Senator Volker. And do you think that, and there's no declared Democrats, is my understanding at this point. Now it's an open seat. The edges for the Republicans enrollment-wise, open seats tend to spark free-for-alls. But do you think this could be a Democratic pickup, or is this likely to stay Republican, this seat?
Yeah, I don't really know, and since you just hit me with the news of Senator Volker, I haven't really given it much thought. No, it was very good, and so I'm really not sure about it. You know that the senator's district is way north of where I represent, so I'm not really sure of all of the politics and the governance and how it works and who might be interested, and so I'm really not sure about that at this moment.
Okay, and so your own political aspirations, at one point you were interested in running for the Senate, just to clear this up?
Well, actually not. There was speculation, because Senator Billy Stokowski had a very difficult and close race 2 years ago, that he might retire. And since he hasn't, I have no interest. I have had no interest in his seat. I support Senator Billy Stokowski for Senate, and so I am very pleased to be in the New York State Assembly. And quite frankly, what would Speaker Sheldon Silver do if I wasn't in the Assembly? He would be so sad.
That's a very nice segue. I appreciate that, Assemblyman, because you are at this moment at odds with the Speaker of the State Assembly, which is an unusual thing to be, because he's quite a powerful guy, and most people do not speak out against him. There was that coup attempt that was put down by him a number of years ago now by a former Assemblyman named Michael Bragman from the Syracuse area, and justice was swift in that particular instance. And so you're not mounting a coup attempt, it should be said, but you are being quite outspoken about your displeasure with him. I understand it's over your disagreement that you have. You believe that he's being obstructionist when it comes to a measure that would allow University of Buffalo and other SUNY schools to have more leeway in terms of tuition. And am I characterizing that correctly?
Yes, in fact, I'm certain about it, because 2 years ago, the new president of the University of Buffalo, Dr. John Simpson, put together a very bold initiative called UB 2020. And so 2 years ago, the state Senate voted on it and passed it in their Senate chamber, and the Assembly was unable to do it because the Speaker said, you know, we have a new chancellor. Her name is Nancy Zimpher, and she hasn't really weighed in on this, so therefore the Assembly will not be moving the bill. And so, just like, the Wizard of Oz, the Oz was the great and powerful wizard who told Dorothy to get the broom. Well, that's exactly what I did and what the Western New York delegation did over the last year. We went to Nancy Zimpher, and she said that she is 100% for UB 2020, which is now called SUNY 2020, or the Empowerment Act. Not only is she 100% for it, the state Senate is for it, the Board of Trustees voted on it unanimously, and the governor proposed it in his budget.
So what's the problem, then?
The only one obstructing this is the New York State Assembly, and they should be ashamed of themselves, because this is something that is going to be very helpful to Western New York especially, but to other SUNY campuses across the state as well.
Okay, so what's the problem? I mean, I suspect that it might have something to do with the unions, but I'm just curious if you and the Speaker have had a conversation since you came out with your very strong statement regarding his obstructionist behavior in the Buffalo News this morning.
Well, first of all, the Western New York building trades have been working hand in hand with Dr. Simpson over the last 2 years. The building trades of New York State are also on board, so I'm not certain that there's any union problems on this. I just think that this is an unwillingness by the Speaker and the majority conference to move forward, and it's very unfortunate, and it's something that is going to be devastating to upstate New York.
So have you spoken to the Speaker, or have you not spoken to him?
I have had conversations with the Speaker. About 10 days ago, I suggested to the Speaker, after in conference, it was suggested to all of us that we talk with our senators in terms of moving the budget process forward. And so in doing so, I responded back to the Speaker and said, I've talked to my senator, and they are interested in some consideration regarding property tax, and they also are going to be insistent that in the budget, UB 2020 is going to be in that bill. And the Speaker said, well, it's not consistent with our conference. And I said, well, then our conference has to be more flexible. And I challenged him in a letter and said to him that he ought to institute a recount, because I think he has misinterpreted the majority members of the Assembly. I believe that they are interested. And if he claims he's not an obstructionist, and I hope he's asked some difficult questions. I watched Capitol Tonight last night, and quite frankly, the interview was one volley after another, very nice, easy questions to the Speaker. Somebody from Capitol Tonight should be asking the question clearly, are you obstructing the UB 2020 program? And if he says no, then the reply should be, allow it to go for a full vote on the Assembly floor.
Okay, Assemblyman,
and you will see it will pass.